Water, water everywhere, or is it? Today, you're viewing my portion of the STEAM project dealing with the math behind it. Information from this slide was taken from the 4-H Water Line Project. For the past 3 days, you were asked to track your water usage statistics, and I hope that you found some enlightening facts. The average person uses 50 gallons of water a day. So I wonder where you fall in that. So what we're wondering about is how would your habits change if you had to carry that water? That's the situation that many African families are having to deal with, is having to carry their water to their homes each day. And here in America, we had to do this only 100 years ago before we had plumbing installed, the running water in our houses. And back then, the average daily usage was only 5 gallons of water. Now it's 50 gallons of water, that easy convenience. So how do you think they got by with so little water? Some changes they had to make, right? Well, what are 3 ways that you use water that you would be able to easily give up if you had to carry that water? So think about that for a second. 3 ways you could give up, 3 things you would give up if you had to carry it. Now, what are 3 things you would least like to give up if you had to carry that same water? Next, Earth is known as the water planet because 70% of our surface is water. However, most of this water is found in the oceans and is too salty to drink without some type of purification. So less than 3% of our water is fresh water, and that's the problem, is a lot of countries don't have that purification system, and that's going to be your challenge for part of this project, is to figure out a way to have clean water. That was the whole project, clean access to water. So the way our Earth is divided with water is, this is the percentage of water, and this is of the total, and this is a ratio of if you had 1 gallon of water, how it would lay out. So oceans are 97% of our water. Icebergs and glaciers are 2%. Groundwater is 0.68%. Lakes are 1/100th. Atmosphere is 1,000th%. And rivers are 1,000,000th%. So as you can see, the oceans, the salt is the highest percentage. And again, here's our breakdown of 1 gallon. If we had 1 gallon, 15 cups of it will be salt. 5 tablespoons will be icebergs, 1 tablespoon will be groundwater, 8 drops of a gallon would be a lake, 1 drop would be the atmosphere, and 1/10 of a drop would be rivers. Pretty outstanding, isn't it? So, knowing all of that, and knowing that we went from 5 gallons of water a day to 50 gallons of water on average, these are some ways you can conserve water. In the bathroom, put the stopper in the tub before you turn on the water for the bath. The cold water that you typically let run out can kind of, balance out with the hot water. Another thing is you can turn off the water while you brush your teeth. Use a cup of water to rinse your mouth. Instead of letting it run the whole time, turn it off and let it while you brush. Ways to conserve water in the kitchen. By using the garbage disposal left off, then you'll save water. Instead, start a compost pile for vegetable food waste. So instead of putting food down the drain every time, make something out in the backyard that kind of as a compost pile. By using the garbage disposal less often, you'll save water. Oh, sorry, that's a repeat. Ways to conserve water around the house. Pour water from fish tanks and extra drinking water onto house plants for the garden. Instead of pouring it out, reuse it. Water the lawn early in the morning to reduce evaporation. Ask an adult to help you place mulch around the bases of trees and shrubs and in the flower and vegetable gardens. Mulch holds water in the soil and helps control weeds. All right, so now on to what you did for the last 3 days. On the back of your sheet, you notice that there were some questions you were asked to reflect upon. The average daily water use tally sheet reflecting questions. The first one I wanted you to calculate your average daily use for the 3 days. And that's by adding the 3 daily totals together and dividing by 3. That way we can have a piece of information to graph with later in math class. Which activity required the most water for you? In which of the rooms of the house was water most used? You could probably take a good guess, couldn't you? What water uses in your house were not included in your water use tally? So were there times where you were using water for some reason and it wasn't on the sheet? What were those? Other things to consider. How much does how much does the water you use every day weigh? A gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. So 8 pounds in 1 gallon. So you would multiply that answer from your for your first question by 8 to figure out how much weight. So if you had to carry that water, how much weight would you be carrying? Was your average water use more or less than the national average of 50 gallons per person per day? Most likely it was above that, right? If it was lower, congratulations. You already practiced some water-wise ways. Maybe share those ideas with your friends. And if it was higher, you'll learn some simple ways to start conserving water that we already kind of talked about a few minutes ago. So our next task is you're going to take the water usage information, and we're going to make a circle graph of how you're going to pick one of those days, either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and graph what it looked like. And you're going to make, kind of like we did with our second STEAM project dealing with circle graphs on the budget, you're going to make a circle graph with your water usage. And I'm not going to recreate those two videos, so I'm going to have those two ready to go again on the website, so we can click through those. And you'll be circle graphs part 1 and circle graphs part 2. If you hand create your circle graph for this project, like I show you in the video, you'll get full credit if it's neat and accurate. However, if you use a computer, you will get three-quarters credit if it's accurate and neat. So those are two things to consider. So I would, think about going to the circle graph by hand to get maximum credit.